From a half-jet, half-limousine car to an aerial automobile, here are some of the strangest vehicle models in the world. In the 1950s, just a few years after the end of World War II, Germans began to slowly return to their normal lives. That goes without saying. But during this post-war period, and after years of deprivation, many wanted to return to comfort, especially by buying a car. But in this war-torn country, and with the decline of some car manufacturers, many Germans found themselves unable to afford the car they wanted for one reason or another. Either the price was too high in relation to their purchasing power, or they had to wait a long time to get a new car, or the second-hand market did not meet their demand. All of this made them postpone their purchase for later. But luck finally smiled on them thanks to BMW Isetta, a small car that perfectly met their needs and had many advantages thanks to its low fuel consumption, but especially thanks to its small size and shape that made it very practical and easy to drive and park. Take a look at this little jewel in its front door. Its shape reminds of an egg or a yogurt pot, doesn't it? By the way, this mini car takes its name from its Italian car manufacturer Isetta, whose license rights the BMW bought. Certainly, this car has many advantages. Nevertheless, the Germans had to adapt to its disadvantages too. It must be said that despite its low cost and practicality, the BMW Isetta had some problems with the gearbox, acceleration, and the interior, which became hot in summer. However, the Germans, but also the British and the Americans who bought this car, always got used to it until they decided to replace it by a faster and more comfortable one. However, they will not be able to deny that this popular car, which was the pride and joy of the BMW for a certain period of time, and which is today the delight of vintage car collectors, has greatly improved their daily life. The designers of the car you are about to see certainly have a strong taste for luxury, but also a lot of imagination, since they wanted to create a car model unlike any other. Except that the idea they had was anything but ordinary, because these people decided to create a vehicle half-jet, half-limousine, a project simply unthinkable. However, the designers set to work using a private jet cabin to create the vehicle of their dreams. This is how they ended up with the Limo Jet. Look at this car that is unlike any other. With its jet shape and 8.1-liter engine with 340 horsepower, this red limousine that measures nearly 13 meters long and 2.5 meters wide and weighs about 5 tons is truly impressive. In addition to its exterior shape, it has a cockpit for the driver and an original interior reminiscent of a nightclub and equipped with many technological tools. And let's face it, this car can accommodate up to 18 passengers. The Limo Jet was built in the United States and presented in 2018, but to achieve this result, they had to spend a whopping 900,000 euros and dedicate 40,000 hours of work to this project. In addition, their vehicle may be ingenious. The designers of the Limo Jet had to face some criticism because their car did not meet with unanimity. On the other hand, its weight, made heavier by the steel structures used to reinforce the body, had an impact on its speed. But despite all this, the designers of the Limo Jet can feel proud and satisfied to have achieved their goal. There is no doubt that these geniuses have become immensely rich, if their car has already found a buyer, of course. Big car enthusiasts are constantly following the news of car manufacturers, eager to know about their new products and latest models. But in 2015, at the CES show in Las Vegas, these people fell head over heels when they saw the F-015 Luxury in motion from Mercedes. And for good reason. This autonomous and futuristic car, equipped with a hybrid system with a hydrogen engine and all the technology you can imagine, looked like it came straight from another planet or a science fiction movie. Of course, these car enthusiasts took a close look at this strikingly designed monster. To give you an idea, the F-015 Luxury in motion even has LEDs that can change color depending on whether someone is behind the wheel or not. In addition, it is capable of displaying messages or indications to other drivers or pedestrians to ensure their safety. Some people even had the chance to try this car and swivel their seats to face other passengers when the car was in autonomous mode, but they soon regretted this little trick. Well, it's not always reassuring to be in a driverless car driven only by an autopilot. But the tour ended, of course, and these people must have felt a certain relief to know that we are light years away from seeing this kind of cars driving on the road. But at least they will have lived a unique and unforgettable experience. Rick Sullivan is an American mechanic who lives in Clinton, Illinois, USA. You could say that this man wanted to do more than just fix broken or damaged cars. Because one day, while helping to rescue a pickup truck that had overturned on a road, this man's mind was suddenly crossed by a genius idea. Invent a pickup truck upside down. Now that's just plain weird. That being said, Rick used all his know-how to merge two pickups. After a few months, the Topsy-Turvy Truck was born. This eye-catching vehicle had wheels on the ground and wheels in the air, but also a front end and doors that were upside down. Of course, to create this vehicle, Rick invested a little more than 5,000 euros and spent more than 6 months working on it. But the efforts of this mechanic have paid off since he can drive his invented vehicle without any problem. Thanks to his invention, Rick Sullivan has become as famous as his Topsy-Turvy Truck. Do you own a pleasure boat on which you usually spend your vacations? Then you're not alone. This year again, you want to take your little boat out to the lake, but you are once again confronted with the same problem that almost all boaters face, having to tow your boat in the back of your van. To avoid doing this, you search the internet for a solution that you finally found. The Boater Home, a hybrid vehicle that is half boat and half van. But what is this? Well, it's an amphibious car that dates back to the 80s and consists of a small boat with a hull that can be easily detached and connected to the van by a walkway inside. This 79-centimeter boat is equipped with an outboard motor and can navigate quietly on calm waters at a speed of 65 kilometers an hour. Moreover, the Boater Home offers all the possible comfort with its equipped kitchen, its dining area, its bathroom equipped with a shower, and its living room, which can be transformed into a bedroom at night. Ideal to spend your vacations by the lake, isn't it? Yes, but in order to get a Boater Home, you have to spend a huge amount of money because the price of this vehicle varies between about 18,000 and 44,000 euros. That's disappointing. But never mind, you can still afford this practical vehicle one day by raising the right amount of money. However, since you saw this vehicle capable of floating in water, you have not stopped dreaming about it, and you are more than ever determined to become an owner of a Boater Home one day. Imagine you are walking through a large car show. You've come to see the latest models on display, but one of the vehicles suddenly catches your eye because of its unusual shape. You approach it to read the name of the car on a sign next to it, Flatmobile. You've never heard of this car, which at first glance reminds you of Batman's famous Batmobile because of its shape and fins. But what really catches your eye is its height. Indeed, this British car, which also reminds of a model from the 60s, is very low, and this distinguishes it remarkably from other cars. Curious but above all impressed, you continue to look for some information about the height of this car on the sign, and you learn that in fact, it is just under 50 centimeters high. That's all. And then you also learn that not only was the Flatmobile considered the lowest car in the world at one time, but that it also has a jet engine. Wow! So you can get a clearer picture of the speed and power of the Flatmobile. But despite all the interesting information, you still feel a little claustrophobic when you imagine yourself taking a ride in this car. However, you quickly forget your discomfort and even decide to open the door and get into one of the two seats to see what it's like to ride in a Flatmobile. And for an experience, it is indeed one. You'll remember this position in this car that is no higher than this. At the end of World War II, the American company Curtiss-Wright Corporation was considered the largest American aircraft manufacturer. But one day, this company, which did not want to be satisfied with making planes, decided to design a car. Nothing strange about that. The company wanted to develop a new vehicle for the family, but seeing that the car models at the time were anything but original, the company decided to develop a vehicle that would stand out from the crowd. And in November of 1959, the Curtiss-Wright Corporation succeeded in releasing its Curtiss-Wright Model 2500, a car that looked a bit like other classic cars, except that it was airborne. No, this is not a joke. It was really an air-cushioned car that could seat 4 passengers and was able to move in the air at a height of about 25 to 30 centimeters. This reminds us of the Jetsons and their flying cars, doesn't it? But the Curtiss-Wright Model 2500 was not only able to float in the air, it could also move on flat ground or water according to tests conducted. Although the Curtiss-Wright Corporation had succeeded in creating an exceptional and innovative vehicle, it found it difficult to integrate into the automotive market of the time because of this very car. Contrary to expectations, the new vehicle did not meet the expectations of the public, who did not want a hovercraft instead of a classic car. And then, it must be said that this car also had some disadvantages. In addition to its speed, which could only reach about 60 kilometers an hour, the Curtiss-Wright Model 2500 was not designed for rough terrain either. The American company had to give up its dream of marketing its new vehicle after having spent time and energy, but also money, of course. Fortunately for the company, the Curtiss-Wright Model 2500 attracted the interest of the U.S. Army, which decided to purchase 2 of these vehicles for its own experiments. Curtiss Wright Corporation could count itself lucky to have found a potential customer. Nevertheless, it learned to better study the models it wanted to market. You've just discovered some cars that don't look like the others. What strange cars, isn't it? But tell me, which of these cars impress you the most? Do you know of any other cars as strange and unusual as the ones you've just discovered today? Leave us your answers and impressions in the comments. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video.